Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Corsair Interns and Ambassador Success Story panel. My name is Joseph, and I'll be moderating the panel today. I'm joined by three lovely guests, Josh, Eric, and Rachel, who are here with us to share about their experiences with the Corsair Internship and/or Ambassador program. If you're just tuning in with us now, please remember that you can send all questions that you have for our panelists throughout this event in Twitch chat. With that being said, we're just going to start with some brief introductions. Just share your name and where you work and your title.
I guess I'll start off since I'm first on this side. My name is Joshua Baldino. I was both a Corsair intern and ambassador, and now I work at Corsair as well as a data/web analyst.
I'll go next. Hi, my name is Rachel. I was also a Corsair ambassador and intern, and now I'm the HR operations intern over at TikTok.
Hello. So I'm still a student, but with that being said, I am at Mizzou Esports at our university, and I'm doing program development.
Awesome. Now, can you help give us some insight as for your background, as well as what you do in your current positions now?
Yeah. So I went to West Virginia University, graduated with a computer science degree, and now I work as a web/data analyst for Corsair. So I do a lot of the on-site management for our data for tracking information and the user's experience, and then being able to use that data to help better the business and try to help users both have a great experience and also allow us to be able to push our products the best we can.
Okay, I just recently graduated from Carnegie Mellon University with a double major in biology and statistics. I was president of our esports club over there, CMU Esports, for 2 years before I graduated. And then I guess my background has been all over the place. I've done event management at Epic Games. At Corsair, I was doing partnerships, which is like partnerships between Corsair and game developers. And of course, now I'm doing HR operations, which is a lot of like onboarding, paperwork, all the stuff you kind of need to get started at a job.
Yeah, well, I am still a student. This is going to be my senior year, so I got the opportunity to do the Corsair Ambassador program when I was a junior, which was really, really cool. And I guess I got here from California. I'm now a Midwest student, and I got to see the birth of a really, really cool program in the Midwest at Mizzou Esports that started up my sophomore year. And I got into broadcast and production a lot that way. And it was really cool. I got to learn a lot about how to make streams and stuff. And that was just a great time. But now I'm starting to shift more towards project management and design, program development, and all that good stuff.
That's really great to hear from all of you. Internship and what is the Corsair Ambassador program? And just give a general overview of what the program entails.
Yeah, so I think Josh and I have both been interns and ambassadors, and I think Eric has gone through the ambassador program, but I guess I can start just talking a little bit about what the internship program is. So to start, I think applications for that go out November, December. I think it varies slightly year to year, and then they try and wrap their hiring around March. But what that program is basically there's around 20-ish positions that are open from various aspects. I know the year we did it, it was like there was legal, there was a bunch of engineering roles, supply chain, partnerships, social media, events, kind of all different positions that people can apply to. And they recommend you only apply to 2 of those that most pique your interest. And then once you kind of go through that interview and hiring process, you join. It's a 12-week program. They have 2 separate sessions depending on like when your school ends. And during those 12 weeks, you'll have your manager and your team, and you basically get to work with them on projects that they're doing and take some ownership on your own for those 12 weeks. And you also get a lot of development and learning opportunities. They have lunch and learn, so you get to hear from all different people in the company, and they pay for your lunch too, which is always a nice bonus. We were remote, so that was over Zoom. I assume eventually when they go back in person, if they do, that would actually just be in like a conference room. you have like intern bonding nights where I don't know, we did charades, we did a bunch of games. It was really fun. And yeah, I think the program is really great in that it's really meant to be a great learning experience instead of just like, oh, you're working here for 3 months. They definitely teach you a lot, which is really great experience for students.
Awesome. And any other details on the ambassador program? I know you mentioned a lot about the internship program. Could we hear a little bit more about the student ambassador?
Yeah, did Josh or Eric want to take that?
Yeah. Or actually, Eric, you want to take it?
Okay. All right. I'm the loner here with the only ambassador title, so I'll take it. But that's not a bad thing. Okay. How do I describe such a loaded program in a very short amount of time? That's tough to do, but I'll try. Well, first off, it's a lot. I think one of the things that I really appreciated about this program was that it was a lot about what you wanted to do. Really, it was like, what did you want to get done, which was really, really cool. You really had to be a self-starter. And what I mean by that is one of the big things that you do as an ambassador is you confront a problem that you want to better improve in your university. And that's what we all did. And we identified a problem, and then you had to come up with projects. And what's so cool is when you have a project, Corsair is going to support you and help you through that. And whatever you need, you just ask and you will have those conversations. You'll have the opportunity to do things that you will do in real life, such as like create decks for sponsorship, pitching ideas, learning PowerPoint, which is a skill, and doing a lot of those things that you will do in real life. And so I know I did it all. And, in the end, it's really rewarding. You learn a lot. And I feel like a lot of the experiences you need to know or you need to learn are experiences you learn on the job. And this is kind of like being on the job. It's a great experience, and Corsair supports you the entire way. Not only that, but it teaches you how to work in teams. For example, this past year, we had a Corsair panel series over on their Discord server, and we had to work in teams to make these panels and moderate them, similar to what Joe's doing right now. And yeah, it was a lot of experience like that. Basically, like, hey, go out there and learn. But honestly, like I said, you really got to be able to do it on your own too. You're going to have a lot of support, and the chance, we'll get into it more later about maybe some of the projects that we all did, but you'll have the chance to really do some cool things and get your name out there if you wanted to. So that's pretty much what I think the ambassador program is. And Josh, you can build on that, or Rachel, you as well.
Yeah, just to touch on a few of the topics you were talking about. The ambassador program, it helps your school a lot, because it allows you to be able to partner with Corsair and be able to not only promote the Corsair on campus, but also promote your club with such a big backer as like a tech company like Corsair. But it also helps you grow as a person. If you need experience for future work that you want after college, or you just want to be able to help add to your resume to be able to make it so that you can get those internships afterwards in the summers, having the ambassador program on it helps a ton, because it gives you a talking point and it shows that you can work in a environment with other people around your peers. You're able to work in groups, and you're able to start a project, create it, go through all the processes of executing it, and then have results from it and what you learn from it at the very end. So I think that's very impactful as well. So be it if you want to help your school grow, if you just like Corsair and want to help them do it, or if you want to make it so that it helps make a more meaningful resume for you, this program has so much in it. And you also make friends. So that's very nice. You get to meet people from across the country, like how Rachel, Eric, and all of us in the ambassador program, we were able to talk to each other. We had one guy from Britain. We had another people from the West Coast, East Coast, Central. So it's just a fun time and overall. But Eric made a great points on how it helps, as well as just in that general creating events and such too. So yeah, that's basically it.
You also get to go head to head with the NVIDIA ambassadors, and it wasn't pretty for them, let's just say.
Yeah, we demolished them, but
in games, of course. But yeah.
Yeah, from the looks of it, it sounds like you guys have a bunch of really positive things to say about the program. Do you think you could highlight some as a candidate. Oh, I'm sorry. I think my internet's having some issues.
I think, we lost you there.
Just a little
my
bit.
apologies, but I just wanted to hear a little bit more about some of your experiences that led up to the ambassador program or the internship program that helped you stand out as a candidate when applying.
Do you want to start from Eric? We start from the right side and go left.
Yeah, sure.
Oh boy. Okay. This is gonna be a really interesting story. So when I was a sophomore, moving into my junior year, this is the summer. This application comes around every summer at the same time, and it's always how for me now it's like that marker, like, hey, collegiate's starting up again. Because I always go on this like vacation in the summer. I'm like, see a collegiate because I'll just burn out. But that flag's always like, hey, wake up, it's time to roll. So this past summer, it came up, and I remember at the time I was still really, really into League of Legends as just a student. I was trying to like be competitive in it. But I kind of started shifting away from that competitive mindset. I wanted to do more work in esports. I thought that was really, really cool. And so I started to apply everywhere with this really like scrubby resume that, you know, could use some work. But I just tried. I shot my shot, and I got an interview. It was like, okay, cool. And so I did that interview. And I think I must have said some really good stuff because in hindsight, my resume was like a burning mess. But it was a good interview. And I think I was just very genuine, and I wasn't a jerk or anything. And I was able to get into the program, and I met some really cool people. So that was my journey into getting into collegiate as well as getting into Corsair, because I think they're one and the same for me. And it's been great ever since.
Okay, I guess I can go next. So for me, I actually, when I was the summer before my junior year, I really wanted to be a Corsair ambassador, and I missed the application deadline, and I was really sad. But you know, then I knew to look out for it. For the internship, so I actually, going in, I already had interned at Epic Games, which was like a really great experience to both like have on my resume and show like, look, I have all these skills. So that definitely helped. And I had seen the Corsair internship post the year before, but I had already accepted the offer from Epic. So it was already on my radar. And then just to like build on that experience and just add more things to my resume and things that I could talk about, especially once I hit that interview stage. You know, I was president of my club at the time. And also one thing that was in the works, if people know what Intercollegiate Game Network is, I was in the process of building that out during my interviews. So that was another process that I could highlight and be like, hey, I've done all this stuff, but you don't even know that I've done this stuff because it didn't make it on my resume because I'm doing it right now. And I think that definitely helped. And on top of that, the timing was weird in that the process wrapped up as COVID was starting. But I went to PAX East, and the hiring manager was also going to PAX East. So I absolutely made sure that I ran into him there. I like asked around. I was like, oh, like, which one is he at the Corsair booth? And I made sure to go up and say hi and like, oh, you've interviewed me and I'm really interested in this position. And then, yeah, that's how that happened. And then from there, I just expressed interest in continuing with Corsair and the ambassador program. And one thing led to another, and I just went from there.
Did you want me to explain how I got the internship or how they got the ambassadorship, or did you want both of them? I was just curious on that one before I rant about one of them.
Sure. I would say whatever was your first experience.
Whatever was my first experience? Okay, then the internship was my first experience. If you happen to know a person named Ryan Sims, he's my favorite person ever. He went to West Virginia before me, and he actually was the first intern from West Virginia. With Corsair. He did a partnerships intern, and he now actually works there as well. And so that's how I first heard about Corsair and their internships and stuff like that, was actually just from Ryan doing it. Crazy enough, I was never actually aware of Corsair that much. I knew about them as a company, and since I was helping out with my gaming club at the time as an event coordinator, with them and just trying to put myself out there, not necessarily to get a job with it, but just because of video games. That's when it became clear to me that I wanted to do something around gaming and stuff like that. And events was very interesting to me. So when I heard about Ryan literally told me, hey, there are internships, you should apply for them. I went ahead and applied for 2 of the internships that'd be coming up for Corsair. I applied for the events and partnerships internships. And I didn't think too much of it afterwards. I did take a lot of time to prepare from though. I looked at my resume. I went to local school. I went to school career fairs. I went to resume builders. I went there. I actually went to, and you can check it out at your colleges too. There's probably some sort of writing center at your college. I went to my college's writing center, and there they do resume reviews sometimes. And for me, I was able to get my resume looked at like that. I was taught how to write a cover letter properly because it's really helpful to put a cover letter attached to that. And I got that all created. I used experiences from previous work I've done, from working at a part of a moonbounce company to the things that I've done with working with my gaming club itself, and put that all in there and applied for the 2 positions. And then I got a call randomly in class one day from a man named Alan, and I happened to get an internship interview for that, and that was really cool. And so I'm just asking about how the culture was at Corsair, and being engaging during the internship during the interview helped a ton. And I was able to luckily be chosen to go all the way for that. It was remote though. So it was a remote internship, and we all of us had to work away, but that actually honestly helped a ton because of how we were able to stay together a bunch. But I won't get too much into that because I think we might talk more about that later. However, that was how I got my internship was. I just learned about it just like how anybody else would. Someone told me about it or it came up, and then I just did everything I could. I used all the assets I had in my college, and I used all the experiences I believe would be impactful for the internship to create cover letters and resumes, and then prepared for the interviews with talking to people and asking, hey, how should I do this? How should I talk to somebody? What should I ask? Are there meaningful questions? Googling it, just simply as Googling like the top 10 things to talk about in an interview. It was literally as simple as that. Helped me a ton when it came to the experience. So yeah, that was my internship, how I got to it and how I was able to get accepted to be in it.
Awesome. That's really insightful. And now we're going to transition a little bit towards what you did while a Corsair ambassador or intern. I know you mentioned a lot about how you kind of get to choose your own projects and identify a solution that you wanted to solve throughout the ambassador program. So do you think you could share a little bit about what you accomplished as either a Corsair intern or ambassador?
I could start it off again if you want, Rachel and Eric.
Sure.
I'm special in the sense that my internship and my ambassador program were 2 completely different things. I interned as an event coordinator, which is kind of different than what I'm doing now because of what I did as an ambassador. So it goes to show you don't need to know what you want to do. As long as you show passion towards it and put the work in, you can change it. So I was an event coordinator, and I created like Plinko board. I created a cool Plinko board. I designed the crap out of that. I loved it like my baby. Never saw light of day of it being used, but it was just I got to learn skills in how to create a project, how to define parameters, taking requests from people, and then how would this be impactful for the future, and how would we use it? How do we keep it economical and things like that? So I learned a lot of the event coordinating process, because when you make an event, you need to know what you're trying to do, how should you go about doing it, what is it going to cost you to make it, and how effective / reusable is the idea going to be. And these core elements, even though something I didn't see the light of day happen, these core elements stuck with me because I was able to learn in the future, this is something I can do in real life or in a real scenario. Now to jump over to the ambassadorship. For that, I worked on a project that wasn't too, I tried to work on something that would help me as a person more than my school itself. So what I did was I worked on a program that would be able to allow you to basically compare reviews from different websites to see how impactful they were and how meaningful they were. So what I did was try to create almost like a program that could search through like an Amazon review. And what it could do is it could show you all the reviews that had impactfulness. And it wasn't just like, I liked it or I didn't like it. It had either criticisms in it for specific pieces of it or meaningful comments to help bring that to fruition. And I created the whole idea, how I'd make it, and went through that whole process. So I used the experience kind of from my internship, where I had a design process, a working process, and what I would do for presentation and execution, and worked on that. And what that allowed me to do is develop my own soft and heavy skills to be able to then attempt to work more towards Corsair and possibly in the future get a job with them. So that's what was my mentality when I did the internship, and then my mentality followed through as well in the ambassadorship.
Yeah, so I guess I'll go. So first, and I think Josh can definitely relate to this because I think we are probably the two most affected by this. But my internship was like rewritten like 10 times because of COVID, because partnerships and events largely rely on a lot of in-person stuff, which didn't happen. So my internship definitely got modified a lot, which really taught me to be flexible and to be prepared for a million different changes. But, you know, I was really able to learn a lot. I got to touch on some just straight marketing things, which I never really thought that I would be into, but I actually really enjoyed it. Like I thought marketing strategy was really interesting. And it was a lot of stuff that like I just had no idea anything about. So I got to work on some like marketing briefs, recaps. I became very much a whiz at PowerPoint and making those presentations because there were a lot of them. And then going from there, I was like, well, I got really good at this while I was an intern. So I helped run Discord events with another ambassador. And so I helped make all of the kind of pitch decks for all of those events and all the recap decks. And even getting to write some copy, which was fun because you can definitely incorporate a lot of video game puns in there. But yeah, those are kind of my two big things that I did with intern and ambassador.
All right. Well, I had a fun time with a project because I very, very well remember for a couple weeks I was bouncing ideas off like just like a ball at a wall, just like this idea, that idea, but I wasn't really grasping like a sense of what I wanted to do with Corsair in the proper way. At first I was just like, cool, I can just do whatever, and you know, we'll just wing it. But then as I grew as a person in the collegiate scene, as I just got, I don't know, a little wiser and more in touch with what I wanted to do in my career, that's when things really got fun for me. And similarly to how Rachel and Joshua both did things that help them discover what they wanted to do, or, you know, help them advance their career, I did something as well. And it's so cool to hear it because it just always, like even now, it reminds me that we did things that were so different, but they developed our skills in equally as well. You know, everyone developed really well. For example, what I did at the time, I was really into broadcast at the time. And this is still, I guess, when broadcasts were kind of taking off in the collegiate level, you started seeing everyone just like doing their own live streams. And that was really cool and still is really cool. And so at the time I was like, well, you know, I want to make a panel series. That's what I want to do. Just similar to what I did here. Let's do it. And I thought more, and as I developed, I was like, well, I really, really care about people's mental health, their ability to get that help that they need. And so with Corsair's help, I was able to create a trio of partnerships with MSI, Corsair, and Rise Above the Disorder to do a panel series that would raise money to help people get the mental support they needed. And so what I learned, not only did I was able to help so many people by raising money for a great cause, but I was able to get into Photoshop, get into After Effects. This is really where I learned how to use After Effects and how I pretty much got a very average mastering of the program. And like now I can make my own like stinger transitions, like animations, things that people like pay people to do, which is awesome. I was able to learn that because of this Corsair ambassadorship. And then once I got through all of that, you know, I created my own slides. I basically made the entire Twitch stream and I didn't really have anyone to help me with this. So I kind of went crazy for a couple of weeks with just like little sleep, and I was just grinding it out. And I very much remember like the day of for my event, this was building up for months, and I just chugged coffee. I was the producer of the stream. I was the panelist. I was the guy leading it. I was doing it all. It was so much fun. And I learned how to do everything involved with that. And I gave so many great interviews, and all of those things are still abilities I have. I'm no longer afraid to be on a camera. Like I could talk to you all for hours now. I know you don't want to hear that, but I could if we needed me to. Like I got you, just hit me up. But all this stuff I can do now because of the ambassadorship program. And at the end of the day, the proudest moment for me was I was able to raise $800 for someone to go get help that they otherwise would not be able to get. And so that was just part of what Corsair helped me do. And then I did a bonus project, which was like, hey, let's do another project. I like the first one. So I did 2 projects. The second one was a community event for my school. I did another Twitch stream. This time we were giving away products to kind of rally the school and the student body, because we were all so sick of like not going out because of COVID, which was just like going crazy at the time. So I was like, hey, let's lift everyone's spirits. We'll do a fun giveaway. And that was a really, really fun one as well. So that's what I did with Corsair as an ambassador. And that was a lot of fun.
Awesome. And within these programs, what would you say that working with different was ambassador from the UK, what did that experience bring? Did I cut out again?
Perhaps.
I think we lost.
Could you give me that one more time? Oh no, we lost him again.
Oh, we lost him again.
Okay. Third time's the charm.
Okay.
What was the experience like working with different cohorts of students internationally, and what did that bring to the overall experience?
Okay. I guess, do you want me? I get started off since we're doing the whole reverse thing. Okay. It's been so fun, and the only regret I have with this whole experience is that I didn't keep in touch with enough people, but I tried to keep in touch with as many people as I could. But it was so hard already because of COVID. We were already not doing some things like going out and tabling and meeting people with the student body, and there's just some things we couldn't do as an ambassador. But there was I like around 20 of us, a little less than that. And I met everyone. I worked with a lot of people there, and we had monthly meetings, and we got to hang out, and that was super cool. And everyone had great personalities. That was the number one thing too. Everyone was really, really cool and very positive and uplifting with each other's projects, etc. And it was always great having those meetings and I think they got even better as the year progressed. At one point we were totally doing yoga in a Discord call, which is very, very fun. And it was very fun. And, I even got to meet some people from Corsair that I would never met before the program. So Rachel over there. Yeah, there you go. I met Rachel. We were hanging out last week. And then there's some people that aren't here that I met as well. And that was really cool. And yeah, we're all pretty good friends. It's been so cool.
Yeah, I would echo that. And I always say, I think the biggest takeaway from both the internship and the ambassadorship is the people that I've met. Because of COVID, the interns couldn't meet in person, so I actually made us a Discord server, and we all got insanely close, just hanging out in there, talking in there. We'd play Valorant after work. I think that was my absolute favorite part of the internship, was the people that I met and the experiences that I got to have with them. And then on top of that, the same thing with the ambassadors. I've gone out to get food with Eric. I have one of the other ambassadors is going to be moving into my apartment and crashing on my couch. There's so many friends that you make, and I think it's what you put into the program is what you'll get out of it. If you're actively trying to find friends, you will meet some of the best people that you've ever met. And I think that's truly what makes the experience worth it, is just all the friends that you get to meet.
For me, I'll touch more on the internship since we have so much ambassador love in here. For the internship, the thing I like the most was you're able to work with such a diverse and wide range of skills that people have. So like how Rachel was explaining before, there's people who work in the marketing section, there's people who work on the legal section, you got engineers, you got social media, and you're able to talk to all these people and learn about what they're doing in the different fields, just in case maybe you want to go work in that field in the future, or you want to talk to them in the future to see how they're doing and things like that. And so being able to keep in touch with those kinds of people, and understanding what they're working through and everything like that gives you a better insight, not only into what you might want to do in the future, but also um, understanding how to talk to people that maybe are in that kind of field, networking, being able to in the future say, hey, how are you doing, what are you up to? It's I one of my favorite things to do is to not talk to someone for like a year, and then some reason to have a reason to talk to them in the future. I'm not kidding. And have a reason to talk to them in the future and see what they've been up to, because it's crazy to see what happens when someone goes from doing one thing to another thing, and hearing all the stories and everything like that. I know it sounds a little weird not talking to somebody for a year, but but it's
just
those kind
that.
of
My favorite thing to do is to not talk to someone for a year. That's it.
I just like to learn what people have been up to, and what they've gone towards. And honestly, the reason I have my job today with Corsair is because I kept in touch with the interns, because someone from the interns, the previous HR reached out to the interns to do a part-time job with Corsair, and that's what evolved into me getting a full-time position with them, really. So I think if you do an internship, you do an ambassador, do with ambassadors, stay connected to as many as you want. Don't force yourself to. Don't be like, I need to do this to, like, but if you enjoy talking to them, maybe send them a message every once in a while, see how they're doing, because you never know, you could be a great friend in the future, and they possibly could even be a reason to get a job in the future. So yeah, that's my experience with the talking to people around that.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that you all met so many great people throughout your experience. What would you say is your biggest takeaway and lessons that you've learned from the Corsair student program?
What am I what have I taken away? What have I not taken away? It's a better question. I learned how to talk to people. More specifically, how to talk to people in a business environment slash a group environment, a more professional environment. I learned how to be a self-managed person. I learned that I need to keep track of myself. There may be check-ins here and there, but I need to keep myself accountable to everything I do. So I can't just wait like 2 months and then it magically happens. I was the one that have to make it happen. So I needed to learn how to manage that and get it there properly. And I got to meet people I would have never met ever if I wasn't online, and if I never even got into gaming. I could tell you right now, if I wasn't in gaming, if I wasn't trying to be a part of my college, I would have never met people anywhere outside the East Coast. I'm from the Philly area. I probably wouldn't have left the Philly area. Now that I've done this program, I have friends on the West Coast. I have friends in the middle of the country. I have friends that aren't even in this country. So I think that if you want to meet people outside your area, if you want to develop your skills, if you want to just do something that gives you a reason to do it, this was like a great experience and reason to do anything. So that's just my personal feeling on it, though.
Yeah, I think honestly, Josh covered probably most of what I would say too. You get to it gives you a reason to do things that you otherwise like might not have done. And it gives you a network that otherwise wouldn't have existed. Again, there's just so many people that like I didn't know existed, and now I do, and now we're friends, and now we hang out. And like, I just recently moved across the country to like the Bay Area from Pittsburgh, and if I didn't have this like network, like I probably would be terrified out here, and I would have no friends that I knew of. But because I met like all these awesome people, it was definitely like really great. Including just all the skills that I was also able to develop as both an ambassador and an intern.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go and third this. The ability to just do something cool. It really drove into me this like saying was like just do cool stuff. Just to do it. It's it's great to just do things. I don't know, like I'm doing college all day. I'm like studying, taking tests, and now I get the opportunity to do cool things, and I get the support and the backing of Corsair, and I get to meet all these cool people, make all these great connections. And, you know, I want to bounce back on to Joshua, like making great connections is something that this program taught me how to make connections, you know, learning not to, you know, always just have genuine connections is, I guess what I'm trying to say, is how to just genuinely be friends with people, and, you know, how to really make those lasting connections. But the number one thing for me has definitely been just doing cool things. And I think a lot of times, if you're around the collegiate space long enough, you'll know that a lot of times people are telling you, hey, go do something cool. But a lot of times it's hard to start. I think the first time doing something like a major project is probably the hardest for someone to really grasp. But Corsair really drives you to do it. Whether, like I said, it's a little bit more self-startery, but you still have the support of people around you to help guide you in the right direction. And for me, that was so important, because I had, like I said, a couple ideas, and it was thankfully for others, they were like, maybe refine the idea. Think about, for me, it was like, think about what do you want to gain out of this? Because at the time I wasn't really gaining anything out of my projects. And so when I finally found a project that I did gain experience out of, as well as, you know, a lot of other things, I was trending in the right direction. So being able to learn to do things just to do it has been so valuable for me. And it's still something I'm like doing right now, like my future cooking show that I will be doing. I wouldn't be doing a cooking show with my university if it wasn't for Corsair teaching me to just be a self-starter and to do things. But yeah, self-plug.
All right. And then really quick, one piece of advice that you would give to any new students or people interested in the Corsair Ambassador or internship program.
Okay, I'll start, but I'm going to give two pieces of advice, because I like the one that Joshua mentioned earlier on, but I also want to just give another one. So the first one is really go just refine your resume, like anywhere. Go, your school could do it. I know your school has a place to go check your resume. I know you listening. I know your school has one. But if they don't have one, collegiate is really big about this. I mean, like, everyone is helping resumes nowadays. Everyone. You can ask people. They're not even doing events, and they will help you. You just got to ask sometimes. People are so eager to help you with your resumes that now it's like, if you don't have a nice resume, you're just behind. And that's just the reality. So you really got to have a good resume. And then now the second piece of advice is to just try, or like to just do something, like shoot your shot, because my resume was a dumpster fire. It was not good, but I knew that I wanted to do gaming. And so I just tried, and I like applied. And sometimes it's all that it takes. You know, I applied to other places as well, and I didn't get in, but Corsair took me in as an ambassador. And, you know, I tried my butt off, and I worked really hard to do these projects, but it all started with me trying and being genuine and just trying to get in. And so that's my piece of advice. And then I'll pass it on to Rachel.
Yeah, I think I gave similar advice on the panel that I was on yesterday. But hey, I mean, to be an ambassador, just like, this is really brief, but be active on your campus, because they're going to look for that. So definitely be active. And, you know, for any internship program, whether it's Corsair or elsewhere, or just jobs or ambassadorships, all that stuff, like, you don't need an ambassador program. Like, the one thing that was great about it was it gave us reason to do things. It's just what we said. But I think take some initiative, kind of like what Eric said, and build your own things. And originally when I heard this, I had no idea what that meant. And I was really confused until I made ICGN. And then I was like, oh, I understand. But the thing about like any project is, I think as long as you kind of know the audience and know what your goal is, you can make something great. And if you're making something for collegiate esports, while you're in collegiate esports, you just know what the audience wants. So like when I made ICGN, I was just like, what do I want to see right now? And then I was like, oh, I want to see this. And then I just made that. So you definitely have that advantage. And I think that's like a really great way to stand out. And if you show that you're already a self-starter, that can definitely help get you into an ambassador program or an internship.
No, I'm basically going to be an echo. Everyone, it's really is the most important thing to take away from all this. I guess I'll take my take on it will be, it doesn't matter if it's going to fail. It doesn't matter if you're going to be not going to be able to complete it. It doesn't. What you need to do is have the idea there and try. It's all you need to do. I didn't fully create that Amazon review bot I was talking about before. I created half of it, maybe even 1/4 of it. But because I had the ideas in place, I knew what I wanted to do and go through and how I was going to go about it. That's so much more impactful than to never do it at all, or if you failed. Because what people are looking for is that you're not only a self-starter, you're not only trying to do something you want to do, but you're willing to take a risk. And even if it fails, even if something goes awry and it's horrible, if you're prepared to be able to figure out what you need to do from that point forward and keep pushing forward, that is so impactful. It's not only looks great on a resume, you can write a cover letter on that. You can write how you're going to go through it, what the issues you ran into, and how you're going to fix it. In an interviewing time, when they ask you, what are your hardships? Boom, there's your hardships. If you had, and if you didn't, why didn't you have the hardships? Because I learned from X, or because I put this in Y. It's not, I can't explain how important it was for me personally to get my job, because I had failures, because something went wrong before and we had to fix it. Because that's one of the biggest hoops you have to jump through. So many people come out of college or are too afraid to start something, and then they have nothing to really talk about. You need to be, it's okay if something doesn't go right. Nothing ever goes right. It's what makes you different is that you're going to push through the issues you had and show that you can do it. You can go above and beyond. So yeah, that's my advice to piggyback off of everybody else's. Need to do something. So yeah.
Awesome. I think that's all really good stuff and definitely helpful to those that are interested in the program. Now I'm going to transition to some questions from the Twitch chat. We have a question specifically for Rachel. I'm reading it. It says, I'm a bio major switching to communications. How do I showcase any transferable skills from my time on the pre-med track while applying for a job in esports, more specifically towards event management and or marketing?
Okay, so I guess I did do a very similar path. I think there's transferable skills in literally everything. If you're running experiments, okay, you have to plan timelines. You have to be really good on top of time management and coordinating a bunch of things. Organization, just basic just care, because you have to be safe in a lab. You're using dangerous chemicals. You can't just be reckless. So there are a lot of transferable skills. I will say another thing I did is to supplement this. I just got really involved in my college club. Again, I mentioned, I started my own projects. And I kind of went out and sought out those opportunities outside of bio, because I know there are transferable skills, but at some point, yeah, you want to get some more of that other experience to try and get your foot in the door. So I would say there are transferable skills, and I think you can twist anything to make it, seem just important or applicable to any job. But in addition, you should definitely seek out opportunities in terms of extracurriculars or part-time jobs, other work experience that you can use on your resume to get that extra push if you want to make that career change. But it definitely is possible, and you'll hear from so many people that they majored in one thing but ended up doing something else with their career. So it's definitely doable. And yeah, don't feel scared or think it's too late, because it's definitely not.
Awesome. And the last question I have for today, also from the chat, is how much cross-pollination is there within the different divisions of Corsair, those being Corsair, Elgato, Origin PC, etc.? And how does this exposure / different sides affect the experiences that you've had throughout this program?
I'm sorry. The question is breaking my brain. So what is the question asking again?
Sure. So I guess have the different, divisions of Corsair impacted your overall experience in the program, or have?
Oh no, we lost him.
We lost him. We were so close.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, you're great.
All right, yeah. So how have the different areas or divisions?
Okay. I can try to break it down.
I think I get what you're saying.
I think what you got. I think I got it. So
Okay.
From my experience with it, so Corsair, there's Corsair is the major company, and there's a breakdown of Elgato, Origin, Scuff, and then a couple other ones like Gamer Sensei and such. And there's inside of them. When you're working with Corsair specifically, doing the internship and the ambassador program, from my experience, you really only stay within the like Corsair itself. You don't really branch out too much towards the other ones. For me personally, for when I was doing stuff, so I worked mainly with Corsair. I didn't personally start working with Elgato or Origin or any of the other teams until I actually started working at Corsair. So I work a lot heavily with Elgato now. I work with Corsair, Elgato, and then I touch on Origin and the other pieces of the company. So there's not too much cross pollination or cross moving between the departments, though. When it comes to like actually working inside the business, if you want to go work with Elgato, if you wanted to be oriented towards the other companies, you can do that. It's not like it's being restricted. It really depends, honestly, on what your goal is and what you're working towards. If you're trying to do streamer stuff, if you're trying to work with those kind of things, Elgato might be your way. You want to make streamer gear and things like that. Anything that's more towards live streaming and stuff, Elgato is 100% the big one you want to try to work with. If you're more into PC parts, if you're more into just the Corsair family of products, you might want to work with Corsair. If you're into PC building itself, you can do Corsair or Origin. It just depends, honestly, on what you want to work for and what your main goal is. If I don't know if Rachel or Eric, if you have any takes, but for me personally, working at Corsair, that's how I view it, and that's been my experience with it so far.
Yeah, I would say you don't quite get as much of a glimpse as you probably would actually having that full-time employment as an intern or as an ambassador. But like the like sub companies definitely all work together. I remember one of the interns was doing social media for Elgato, and then one of the interns was doing social media for Corsair. So they worked together a lot on some stuff, and they even helped us with asked us for help with some things. They did like some cute little Animal Crossing video, and they had some of the other interns help out with that, which is really cute. We got to have a build your own PC workshop and question session with people from Origin, which was really cool. And then with all of the lunch and learns, they definitely encourage you to learn about other aspects of the company, which may also take you into those other areas. Again, if you're more streamer focused, you'll end up at looking more into Elgato type things. If you're more about just like building PCs, for example, like, yeah, Origin is more of that side. So they definitely encourage you to explore, and that can end up in other subsections of the larger Corsair, whether that be Origin or Elgato or Scuff even, and things like that.
Yeah. So as an ambassador, we're not full-time. We know we're still students while we're doing this. So a lot of our time is devoted to school, and then we spend a couple hours each week working on projects, etc. So we're really only speaking with basically within our ambassador program, but there are opportunities in the ambassador program to actually meet with departments in Corsair. So for example, in one of our panel events that we were hosting as ambassadors, I personally got to meet with the videographer guys at Corsair, and super chill, by the way. But yeah, that was my experience with working with people around Corsair. As ambassadors, we really are, like I said, just focused on our personal projects, our growth, and as well as our other ambassadors. We're all just becoming friends. So that's what ambassadors do. Not as much as the interns, but still very fun.
Gotcha. Unfortunately, we are going to have to wrap up right now. I want to thank you, Josh, Rachel, and Eric again for taking the time to share your experiences with the Corsair student program. I'm sure that you had a lot of exciting things to share. But other than that, I'm going to thank you all again for tuning in.